is Fatima Javed, and I'm a UHD student. And I chose this book for a science lesson plan, The Magic School Bus Lost in the Solar System, because it talks in detail about our solar system and the positioning of the planets. This book is written by Joanna Cole and illustrated by Bruce Driggins. Let's start reading the book. It was a trip day again, Mrs. Frizzle's class, and everyone was excited. We were going to the planetarium to see the sky show about the solar system. Arnold's cousin Janet was visiting us for the class, and it was her first day, and I know all of you will be nice and grateful, says Mrs. Frizzles. We tried to be nice to Janet, we really did, but we got on the school bus and we told her that Miss Frizzles was the weirdest teacher in the school, but Janet wasn't interested and she wanted to tell us about herself. As usual, it took her a while to get to the old bus, but we finally did, and we were on our way to driving to the planetarium. Miss Frizzles told us all about the Earth. It spins like a top and it moves on its orbit, and it just was a short drive to planetarium, but Miss Frizzles talked fast. When we got to the planetarium, it was closed and repair. This means, well, we'll have to return to school, said Miss Frizzles. We are so disappointed. On the way back, on the way back, as we were waiting on the red light, something amazing happened. The school bus started tilting back, and we heard a roar of rockets. Oh dear, Miss Frizzles said, we are busting off. Children, we are going through the atmosphere and the layers around the Earth. When the roar of the rockets stopped, we looked around and everything had changed. The bus had turned into a spaceship, and we were all dressed up as space suits, and we were lighter than feathers, and we floated above the seats. Far behind in the black sky, we saw the planet Earth getting smaller and smaller, and we were traveling in the space, and we were becoming astronauts. The frizzle said for our first stop is going to be moon, and we got off the bus and looked around. There was no air, no water, no sign of life. All we saw was dust and rock and lots of craters. Miss Frizzle said that the craters were formed billions of years ago when the moon was hit by the meteorites. The meteorites were the falling chunks of rocks and metal. It was fun. It was fun on the moon, and we wanted to play, but Miss Frizzles said that it was time to go. And as we got back to the bus, we started with the sun at the center of the solar system, said Miss Frizzles as we blasted off. We zoomed towards the sun, the biggest, the brightest, and the hottest object on the solar system. Jets, the super hot gases, shoved out to us from the surface. Thank goodness Miss Frizzle didn't get close. She stared around on the other side and pulled away. Well, seeing all the planets in order, the classes explained Miss Frizzle. Mercury is the first planet closest to the Earth. Mercury was dead, sun-baked, and the planet was like the moon. There is no water and hardly any air, said Miss Frizzles. Notice the craters on the surface as we have to pass by. Before long, we felt ourselves being pulled by the gravity of Venus. And the second planet, the sun, Venus, was completely covered by the thick layer of yellowish clouds, and we will now explore the surface of Venus, said Miss Frizzles. Below the clouds of Venus was dry as a desert. The ground was covered with hot rocks, and it was hot, and it was 400 degrees centigrade. It was much more hotter than the oven baking cookies. The air was heavy. We could have felt pressing us down. Miss Frizzle said that it might be the volcanoes around it too. We said, let's get out of here. Our next stop is on Mars, the red planet, the fourth planet from the sun. Then out, Miss Frizzles. On our way, we'll be passing through the orbit of the Earth. And the third planet, the bus lifted up with a roar. As we came closer to Mars, we passed by two planets, and each were called two moons, which were called the Phoebus and the Demions, compared to our tiny moon. Looking down, we saw a huge canyon. Miss Frizzle said that it was as long as the United States. There was a volcano 3 times taller than the tallest volcano on the Earth, and around it were the channels that looked dried up in the riverbeds. As we landed to the stars, walking around, suddenly the huge dust storm blew up, and Miss Frizzle said the dust storms is on Mars and can last for several months. We was then may cover they may cover the whole planet. We scrambled back to the bus. Mars was the last planet of the inner planets, and Miss Frizzles shouted about the roar of the rockets. We will now be going through the asteroid belt in our outer planets. Thousands of asteroids were spreading around us. At once, we heard a tinkling of the broken glass in one of the tally lights had been hit in the asteroid. Miss Frizzles put her autopilot and went out to take a look, and she kept on talking about the asteroids, and we were on the bus radio. Suddenly there was a snap. Miss Frizzles theta line was broken without a warning, and the rockets fired up and bus zoom away. The autopilots were multifunctioning. Most of us were scared to move, but Janet started searching for the bus, searching the bus to the glove compartment. Miss Frizzle's lesson book. As they began to read, a huge planet came from the view, and the class, "This is Jupiter," Janet read, and it was the first of the outer planets and the largest of the solar system. As we thought that the school bus was going, there was a solid ground land on Jupiter. The planet was made. The planet was made entirely of gas. As we left Jupiter, we worried. When will we go home? The next planet, we forgot our troubles. Saturn, the gas planet, looked like Jupiter, swirling around the clouds and looked like lots of moon. But the most incredible thing was that Saturn had rings, and it was the most beautiful planet we had ever seen. Next came Uranus, the blue-green gas planet, and faint gray rings of the moons, and some scientists think they might be made from the chunks of the graphite, the material used for pencils on the Earth. The bus was going faster and faster, and we couldn't keep up with the autopilot, and it stopped past the stormy Neptune, and another green planet with the Earth, with the eighth form of sun. As we could think about finding Miss Frizzles. We were going so fast that almost we missed the seeing of the ninth planet, Pluto, and its moon. We were so far away that the sun that we didn't even look back anymore. It was just looked like a very big star, and we were leaving the solar system. Janet flipped rapidly through Miss Frizzle's book, and suddenly we found something new: instructions for the autopilot. And we punched the asteroid belt and the control panel, and slowly the bus burned out and working, and we got it working again. And when we reached to the asteroid belt, we saw Miss Frizzles. When Miss Frizzles came back the wheel, the bus headed straight to Earth, and we re-entered the atmosphere and landed to the tramp and looked around. We were in the school parking lot again, and the rockets were gone, and the space suits were gone, and the bus was a wreck, and everything was back to normal. The end.